All right, we are just so excited to be really a celebration today. My name is Becky Norwood with Spotlight Publishing House, Florine Duffield, and Betsy Brill. We may have a few others joining us a little bit late, but we're here to celebrate. We have a whole day of live recordings in celebration of golden wisdom of love, legends, and legacies. Congratulations, beautiful ladies, on your chapters, your contribution, and we'd like to talk about what this means, because this is the second in the series, and both of you participated in the first in the series, which was Wisdom of the Silver Sisters. I had to get the golden out of there. And this one is the golden wisdom of love, legends, and legacies. Betsy, let's talk about your chapter and what it's about, and why you decided to participate again this year.
Well, my friend Tom Brown is contributing a chapter as well. I think you're interviewing him.
Yes.
At tenure time. And he asked me to write his bio. And I wrote a nice bio, but it was way too long. And I had to cut it and cut it and cut it. It just wasn't sufficient to fully explain Tom Brown. And I thought, well, I need to write a chapter because he is a legend and he has a legacy and he is love. And I kind of wish the title of my chapter had been This Legend's Legacy is Love, because he could have incorporated all three of the things. He's very special. And so I wrote about him and the great upheaval that changed his life for the good, as it turns out. So he's an inspiration to me every day. I love him like a father. And
that is beautiful.
Yeah,
I remember his story, and I remember interviewing him for this book because I interviewed quite a few of the participants, and I was so touched by his charm, his grace, and what he brings to the world at 90 some years old. Wow, this is just amazing, and I want to be like that when I grow
up. He plays word games all the time in his head, and they wind up on Facebook. And no matter how often I try to play back, he always wins. 12 years old. He always gets the last laugh.
So what prompted you to say, yes, I'm going to participate? Because last year was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was.
And we did some nice parties afterwards and a really great book launch. And I know we have one slated for this one in January. What do you hope? I guess there's two questions there. The first question is, what do you hope somebody that picks up the book and reads your chapter gains from it? And then also, why did you choose to participate again this year?
Well, both. It was a rewarding experience to participate in the Silver Sisters, and I've made some nice friends through that as well. Who knew that was going to become a social experience as well? And this one, as I say, really, I was inspired by Tom himself. I was very busy when the invitation came to participate again. I just didn't see how in the world I was going to have time to write 1,500 words, or 1,200 words. And I couldn't imagine taking the time to sit down and write. But I wanted to help Tom, right?
Right.
So I started writing his bio, and when I couldn't fit what I wanted to fit into his little bio, I had to and I saw how easy it was to write about Tom. And I thought, well, he expresses all of the themes of this book, and so I'm going to participate. It was never more perfect subject, I think, for a book with this theme. He's Beautiful. Just a delight.
Beautiful.
And as for the book itself, I have been dipping in and out of it myself, and it's such a nice experience to step into other people's lives briefly and share their experiences, their successes, their pains, their in brief little intros. It's a lovely, lovely book and a very nice experience all on its own.
Beautiful. Yes, it is a lovely book, and the stories, the amazing stories that are in here. And I think as we read through the chapters, it's such a how beautiful the human condition is, and the power of storytelling, and how impactful storytelling is. It's just truly amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It's a gentle way of intersecting other people's lives, and it's been a real pleasure to be reading it.
Very beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Barbara, we're happy you could join us today. And
I'm happy to be here.
Very awesome. Florine, I just saw you bring in some beautiful creature. Tell us about this. Whoa, what's this? What's this guy's name?
It's a girl. Her name is Maximilian, and he has to be the center of attention. And if she's not, she'll start squawking, and that's very unpleasant. So I just bring her in, roll her around on her tree so she can be with me, whether I'm painting or on the computer or whatever. So she's nearby. She's my studio assistant.
Well, what a beautiful studio assistant. So tell us about your chapter.
Okay, my chapter is about my whole life. I wanted to work in show business. So when I moved to New York City at 18, I happened to meet John Cabor, who was a famous artist. And I worked with him for years, and it just changed my life and shot me into the career that I always wanted. So it was fantastic to have him. He was a mentor, a teacher, like a father figure. So I wrote about him and our relationship and how it shaped my future, actually.
Beautiful. And you also participated last year in this book.
Yes.
So what made you decide to do 2 books, 2 chapters, 2 different?
Well, because it's fun. I'm a studio artist, so I don't get out much and I work a lot. So I don't really socialize that much. So when I had the opportunity to meet all these fabulous women, and then we meet up once a month after that, it was just like candy. I couldn't resist. It's been wonderful. I've made some great new friends, and we chat and support each other all the time. And we meet once a month for a meal and something festive, and it's just been wonderful. So why wouldn't I want to perpetuate this wonderful situation?
Awesome. How beautiful. And we have had some amazing gatherings. And I remember one of the last ones I was able to attend, where we each wrote something about each other. In fact, it was at your home, Betsy. Yeah. And then we passed these papers around, and everybody had to guess. We had to guess who had written, and I got yours. And you talked about learning how to market your paintings and getting an internet presence and all that wonderful thing. So hats off to you on that.
Well, thank you.
Very cool. So if somebody opens this book and reads your chapter, what do you hope that they gain from it?
I hope that they gain courage. So many people get up every day and they just dread their lives or their jobs or how they've carved out their future, and they just feel hopeless and bored and whatever. And I don't feel that way at all. I never have. I get out of bed and I think, wow, this is what I'm going to do today. So you can do what you love and be successful and not be afraid to, jump off the cliff without a parachute,
That's fun. How beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yes. And for you, Barbara, I think you were not in last year's book, or in the book last year, were you?
I was not, but I was invited, but I was chicken. And I said no. I was a scaredy cat, and I was a scaredy cat this time too. But, oh, what a fabulous experience to bravely charge through it. Yeah.
So
And your chapter was beautiful.
yes,
Just
your chapter
beautiful.
is beautiful.
Thank you, Betsy and Florine, and I see Sandy there and Becky. I am so enjoying getting to know the people in this book. And I think it is a treasure. An anthology is a new word to me. And now I know that I like these short stories of life learning that people go through.
It's
Very
true.
inspiring.
The power of story has been, or, you know, storytelling has been with us since the beginning of time. And there's been times I've worried that it's become a lost art, especially with the advent of these marvelous devices that we all have, and most of them are in our hands. Because you observe, if you go to a restaurant, you observe entire families sitting around the table, just kind of glued to their devices rather than talking. And the power of being able to converse and really get to share the wisdom, you know, from passing from generation to generation is so important. You know, and one of the things about your chapter, it was very near and dear to my own heart, but you really showed such a beautiful wisdom in the way you express the words of a subject that's very difficult to talk about. So thank you for what you bring.
It was a learning curve. We didn't start out even being able to pronounce schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder. It just was something we knew nothing about. We were introduced to this not by choice. Nobody wants to be in this club.
No.
But once you get in there, I am telling you, the families, the people, you know, when a heart is crushed and disappointed, and then everybody has to rally together to try to bring stability, and it's there that for most people, it requires us to get outside of ourselves. And the most wonderful people I think I've ever met in my whole life, I have met through this world. The families, the peers who live with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, it took a lot of raw courage and real heart to be able to share a story like you shared. And it really touched, I'm sure it will touch many, many people, because it's the words that there's so many of us. It's some of the things that often the hardest things are kept silent. And more, this is kind of opening up to our world and becoming a matter of conversation, but still there are many that just live in shame and don't want to talk about it, you know?
Well, the easiest way I found to move into this is by using my voice. I mean, in the grocery store line, I might be standing there, and I have learned that advocating for people who live with mental illness is nothing more than having a chat with your next door neighbor. You know, everybody starts coming to you with their stories once you have revealed that this is your experience. And it's not embarrassing at all. It's not shameful at all. It is just, man, a big curveball that came to our house. And we had to learn to live with it. And the more we learned about it, the more our own stigma went away. And there's just NAMI, this organization that I volunteered for as a result of my son's death, that kind of, we have two sons with mental illness. They were diagnosed in their teens and lived many years with it. And Michael, in the end, took his life. And it was at that moment that I realized I have got to give back because the people don't stop coming to us for help.
Right.
Every day, a family is told by a doctor, your son has schizophrenia. And that explains the behaviors you've been seeing it. You know, we didn't have the vocabulary or the words to put with it. But once you hear that news, there's places you can go to get good support, good education. And it really is a family member and a friend of someone with mental illness. It really is our obligation to at least learn as much as we can about their illness.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yes,
think one of-
Sandy.
I think one of the things that I love about your chapter was that, and I'm gonna cry, was that it gave me a recognition of other people in my life that I couldn't understand what was going on with them. So thank you. Thank you.
You know, Sandy, thank you for saying that. And isn't that the truth? You know, for years and years and years, not only do you sweep it under the carpet, you know, you don't talk about it. It's not proper. But now it's known to be a condition unlike diabetes. It simply is a physical condition, and it is treatable, not in all cases. Yes, Sandy, learning and understanding what it is that drove that person's behavior helps us cope with it. It doesn't take it all away.
No.
It really doesn't make it any better. But for you, the observer, it gives you, it helps you cope.
And it also provides
about-
more
it's about all-
empathy.
Yeah, it's about giving a name to the unknown. You know, it's always the unknown, I think, that can give us can give us a place of being in fear, a place of being, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? You know, and we tend to, I think, as our human nature, we tend to go down that negative road rather than the positive road when we say, what's the unknown? Well, it could be this wonderful big flower, but then we look and go, no, it's the dead flower. So,
Yeah.
you know, so it's always the unknown that I think gives us the biggest challenge.
Yes, yes. And by joining this community of families who chose to come together for support and for education, it kind of normalizes these circumstances. And it kind of makes you realize, wow, I'd always go home thinking, man, I thought we had it bad, but and so you learn to laugh at it, but you also learn from each other. You learn from each other how to move forward as a family.
Well, and it's also the factor of not suddenly you realize you're not alone, you know, and that comes across in so many other areas of life as well. When you think you're the only one that you hold the
Yeah.
corner on the market, and you don't, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was in a speakers group where I represented the parent of someone with schizophrenia, but the speakers included the people who live with mental illness. It included doctors. It included the counselors and a wide spectrum of people that are touched by mental illness. There is not one speaker who didn't make that point, Becky, about being alone,
Right.
feeling alone.
Yeah.
I no longer felt alone once it was acknowledged. And isn't that fascinating?
Yes, it is. And, you know, you see it through so many tough situations of life when a person finally understands that they're not the only one, and that there are others going through circumstances never identical, but very similar. then it gives them also the courage to, you know, kind of step outside of that and realize that, while there is hope, you know, there is something here for me, and that I do have a place. You know?
Yes. Yeah. There's something about this communal carrying the weight. And I said that in my book. I've never said it before, but I found myself saying it in the book. That if our story is disturbing to you, I can only thank you for helping us bear the weight. And you know, I never thought of it that way, but that is clearly what's gotten us through this. Not only the communities of people who have shared experience, but our own family. At Thanksgiving, we're about to come together with, 52 this year.
Wow.
Yeah. And, you know, that used to be a harrowing experience for my boys when they were unstable, because, you know, the stimulation on not being able to keep up with the conversation, and then feeling left out because you can't get a word in edgewise. All those things we've learned along the way to be more sensitive towards one another. I think we need to remember at Thanksgiving, anybody that comes to the house is going to feel that way a little bit.
Yeah, it's part of the human condition sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what a beautiful opportunity. The pages of this book are so rich with beautiful stories, with the love of the legacies, the legends, and it's a tradition that needs to be passed on and continued in order to really to have the impact in our world, because we're all in this big old world together, you know, and we're not an island unto ourselves. So thank you.
I love the way.
Go ahead.
I love the way that Florine and Betsy both wrote about people in their life who influenced
Yes.
them in different ways.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know, Florine with an artist that mentored her and she became good friends with, and Betsy with a friend who's actually done a chapter in our book. I think that, boy, I'm really emotional this morning for some reason. All of these stories have just been so extraordinary, you know, and as they came in and I read through them, it was just like, oh my gosh, these are real people. These are real things that have happened in people's lives, good, bad, and otherwise. And I just really want to acknowledge all of you. This has just been a beautiful, beautiful experience.
Well, hats off to Becky and Sandy, you both, and Sharon. My heavens, I have an inkling of your last year and all that's been on your plates.
Work.
But
this has been a challenging. I mean, truth be told, and this has been a challenging process and project for all three of us at different times. We've had major, massive technical challenges, you know, emotional breakdowns.
Oh, no.
I mean, it literally, when we said we birthed it today, we went through the labor pains and birthed it.
We have definitely done that.
You know, most of you don't know what went on behind the scenes, but I'm here to tell you that I am so grateful that the labor is over.
Well, I always say that when you bring a book to the world, whether it's one person or a whole group of people, it's like everybody's having a baby. It's just the way it is. So congratulations to each one of you, and thank you for your beautiful contributions. You know, it makes the world a richer place. And I'm truly blessed to be able to know each one of you. I wouldn't have known you any other way, you know, and look at the new friendships and the be able to just reach out and say, hey, that was absolutely amazing, or just to have that opportunity to just visit and talk and enjoy each other. So thank you. So go ahead.
Yeah, a new community has been formed, you know, with Wisdom of the Silver Sisters. We've got those ladies have just come together in such a marvelous way. And so here we've created another new community. So you know,
Absolutely.
if they just, and they're going to blend together.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have to, because that's just the way this.
They're part of the Guiding Grace series.
Yes. Thank you, ladies, for showing up today, for sharing your hearts, and who you are. And any closing thoughts that anybody wants to share?
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
I heard this one time, and I think it's the bottom line, that storytelling bridges the gap to understanding. And in the world we have known the last couple of years, this, I believe, is the connection and the way. And storytelling, I know so much more because of these other storytellers just on this screen right here. But I would encourage everybody to nurture that storytelling.
Very beautiful. I'm even writing that down.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Barbara Palmer said.
Barbara Palmer.
That somebody else said.
Awesome. Well, we'll conclude our interview for today. I truly appreciate each one of you, and be sure and share throughout the day. You know, I know we will continue for a long time to come. One thing about this book and the many books that are being published today is 100 years from now, they can still be in existence, and you can, you know, put your hands on them, and your stories are a legacy that continues on. So thank you.
Like the word that Sharon put to this project was perpetuity.
And I'm going to
very
have to look it
appropriate.
up again. Perpetuity.
Infinite, no end.
Oh, exactly.
Forever and ever.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll conclude for this one, and we have the whole day packed full of beautiful interviews. If you ladies have time today and want to go on and double, you know, watch the other ones, feel free to go to my Facebook group and share those videos out. And we have the links Sandy sent the links out to how to do that. So thank you, and big hugs to each
Great.
of you.
Bye-bye.
Everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bless you.
Bye.
Bye.